So there are many parents who still complain, about syllabus being overloaded. So do you feel that we are still, concentrating more on exams than on real learning?
There are certain courses in which the syllabus is not that required. Rather, looking at the experiences today, we require more of adaptive technologies, more of creative thinking, more of problem solving capacities.
So do you feel that the new education policy right now, are we heading it into the correct decision for the future?
It is stated that we are heading towards it. The only hitch or the only glitch, rather, if you ask me what is happening, is only doubt is how it will be executed. Since the ages, this tradition, after my 10th standard gets over, particularly in the city of Mumbai, there's a kind of a trend wherein the student, or rather more than a student, a parent wants the child to get admitted in the best of the colleges. Now, when I say best of the colleges, rather these colleges have turned themselves into some kind of brands.
Hello and welcome to Imperia Connects, the podcast where we explore the heart of family well-being through conversations on parenting, education, emotional health, and more. Today's episode dives into a topic that sits at the foundation of every strong family, education. And to guide us through this conversation is someone who has dedicated nearly 2 decades to improving learning systems, mentoring educators, and shaping young minds. Please welcome Dr. Kavish Prakash Dawda, a respected educationist, academic leader, and teacher whose journey spans both leading institutions and everyday classrooms. Hello, Kavish sir. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you so much, Divya, for having me here. Equally grateful for this particular opportunity to Imperia Connects. And even I am looking forward to share my 2 decades of experience with the student and the parent community.
So let's start from the beginning. So tell us about your journey in the world of education, from management to classrooms, how the journey has been so far.
Okay, so taking you back to the entire journey, it started all across, I think, in 2007. Barely I was not even a graduate, but then there was some spark in me which was found by my mentor, and he asked me to get into the teaching, to get into the world of classrooms. And I started teaching the subject of economics for the grades 11th and 12th standard. Precisely post after that, I'm looking at all the particular deep knowledge dived into economics, which I started sharing. They gave me an opportunity to come into the management. So post that, it was a long journey with one particular institutions, and I worked with multiple private institutions and blessed to be worked with the schools also. So today, sitting with you, I can say that I carry both the kind of experiences inside as well as the outside of the classroom.
So you have worked with both, schools and colleges. So how do you blend this knowledge of yours when it comes to teachers and students?
Okay. So when it comes to understanding, working with the schools, colleges, and the private institutions per se, the basic difference or the basic ethos would be, one is the primary education and one comes to the secondary or a parallel level of education. Now, what happens intrinsically is basically when it comes to the primary level of education, we naturally have to follow certain patterns, certain laid downs, which are rules, regulations to be covered by the government. But when it comes to the private institutions, we are kind of very, very free and, kind of very much flexible to adapt to the new learning outcomes and impart some kind of good technologies to ensure that the entire curriculum is well versed and dwelled down into the students. So these are the basic differences. Why this both run parallelly to each other and both complement rather to each other. And having said that, being experienced in both of the sectors, the leadership level roles which I've played in few of the schools and in the coaching classes have helped me blend both these learning outcomes together.
So you have a hat of, say, teacher, strategist, and many multiple roles. So what has this role taught you?
So if you ask me, out of all the roles what I've played, being a leader, being a strategist, being into education, I would personally, associate myself and love to be called and remembered as a teacher. Because that has been the ethos which has brought me what I am today. And thanks to that teaching experience, thanks to that spark which happened some years back, which allowed me to get into the classroom. Because once you are a teacher, you associate yourself not only with the student community, but the entire journey of a student from being just a bare student to being a professional, you see them live. And once you see this particular transformation of a student life, and once they achieve that particular success, that's it, what a aha moment for a teacher is.
You have been in this education sector for almost 2 decades. So as an educator, what do you feel like currently the educators, the problems that the educators are facing right now in Mumbai?
So particularly, in the city of Mumbai, where the anatomy of technology is changing day by day. So when it understanding, the private education space, definitely they are able to not only implement technology, but to bring in new and new modes of making student learning outcomes kind of simpler and kind of very effective. But there are certain schools, certain colleges still where the adaptation is kind of an issue.
Still they have that traditional mindset of teaching?
Absolutely. So still, still the teacher comes to the classroom with the same chalk and board technology, which is ancient, which is like, thousands of years ago, the Guru Shishya kind of, feeling which comes. Now, the issue is if we are not teaching a 21st gen or right now when we call it as an alpha generation, and when we teach them, we should teach them with the resources, what they need. So kind of, the usage or the kind of...
so even the teachers have to adapt to what is going on with the current generation.
Absolutely. Like, for example, today the video lectures or the online lectures are kind of in a very trendy. But when it comes to understanding a teacher who has not adapted to such scenes, that is one of the very, very big drawback which I feel yet existing into some of the particular institutions, which is, I think, a need for an hour to be changed.
So if you had to picture a typical student today in Mumbai, what are their hopes?
So if you ask me to picture a typical Mumbai student, or maybe a student per se in India, for that matter, I would, visualize a student sitting particularly in a classroom or maybe at home, unfortunately doing still the rote learning, because his outcome is measured by his marks today and not completely by the learning outcomes, what actually should be. So comparatively, when it comes to understanding a student mindset or a frame set, what happens today is because of the rote learning and because of the outcome being only exam oriented, only result oriented, these people are not able to understand, or students are not able to understand the ethicity of what learning is all about. They are not given any life experiences. They are not given any kind of visuals. They are not given any kind of practicals. But yeah, simply we
as the book knowledge that has to go till the examination. That's it.
That's it. So that's the biggest issue what a student today is facing. Unfortunately, in the 4th largest economy what India is today.
So from what you have seen throughout your experience over the years, are parents overwhelmed or are they over involved when it comes to their child's education?
So I would say, frankly, parents' role is definitely, as I initially also told you, that it's a complete triangle. It cannot be just a teacher imparting the knowledge or a student, getting that particular knowledge. But yeah, definitely a support from the parent is very much required. But today the parents also, if you ask me to be very honest, some parents I've seen in my life, they are also just looking at the outcomes. That is how far my child has scored in so and so examination, what is the final outcome in the final examination, and what grades he is going to get into in the final examination, so that he gets into a better college or maybe into a better university. So ultimately it is just measuring of the outcomes, which I think,
rather than the child's interest.
Absolutely. So that is faded away. When you ask me, some child inner way may not want to actually become something, but under a peer pressure or parent pressure is pursued certain course. He would be interested maybe into something which is not an academic related thing, but then he's never given a voice for that. That is where the issue is all about.
So there are many parents who still complain, about syllabus being overloaded. So do you feel that we are still, concentrating more on exams than on real learning?
Absolutely, yes. So if you ask me, there are certain courses in which the syllabus is not that required rather. Looking at the experiences today, we require more of, adaptive technologies, more of creative thinking, more of, problem solving capacities, that kind of curriculum, if that is involved, and if a child is getting more of learning based outcome kind of curriculum rather than getting into just a lengthy curriculum which will be ultimately leading to rote learning and he passing the examination, this kind of framework has to be definitely changed. And I'm sure the educator sitting and the policymaker sitting right at the top are working on the same, and that's the outcome, what we should see in the upcoming NEP.
So now we see that, results have come in. Students are going for the FYJC admissions. So what is the ultimate, right now pressure like everyone must be going through when it comes to parents, students, everyone?
So trust me, it's the same thing what you might have gone through or what I might have gone through. Unfortunately, since the ages, this tradition, after my 10th standard gets over, particularly in the city of Mumbai, there's a kind of a trend wherein the student, or rather more than a student, a parent wants the child to get admitted in the best of the colleges. Now, when I say best of the colleges, rather these colleges have turned themselves into some kind of brands. When it comes to understanding different streams, okay, maybe a science, commerce, or art, every particular stream has their own kind of a branded college or a branded name, and every parent would want to designate that particular child कि नहीं मुझे जाना है तो यही college जाना है. So definitely there's a very huge pressure even after scoring such a good percentage. Maybe today, if you observe, every alternate or a third, fourth child is a 90% child. Now, looking at that branded colleges too, they have limited seats. So when it comes to understanding the FYJC admissions, my advice to the parents would be like, rather than getting into a branded set of colleges or a named college, work out on that particular aspect where a college is having a proximity obviously towards your home, because when he goes to the board examination, that is in the 12th standard, he definitely will be given a center near to the college what he chooses. So if I'm a child who stays in say Borivali, but I go to Churchgate as a college, trust me, my 12th standard board center will be near to Churchgate. And that would be a painful point when it comes to understanding post 2 years. So my suggestion would be, rather than getting into that brand name or something like that, which is going to be fading away over the years.
In fact, that years, like that traveling time, you might just give to some hobby or some other extracurricular activity rather than going all the way from one place to another, which really takes 2 hours for any child to go.
And consider a lot many other hurdles too, like a monsoon for that matter. This would be, a panicky situation for not only the child, but it's an unwanted pressure or a bubble being created, which I think should fade away. Just a genuine suggestion to the parents, if we can focus on more towards, getting into the interest of a child rather than getting him into a branded set of college.
So are there any other common mistakes which, students or parents, they probably make when it comes to the first year admission of their kids?
So you're talking about the FYJC admissions, particularly, yes, because when it comes to understanding the FYJC admissions this year, they have enrolled themselves into a new portal. So might as well, they have to get connected to their schools, understand what is that new portal all about, go step by step. They were also having certain mock drills to be done only before the actual form filling happens. So if we follow that particular steps, it is kind of very easy. And trust me, it is also making the parent and the student community kind of tech savvy if they are getting involved into the entire process. But yes, once again, the process is simpler, but our minds have to be more simpler on the basis of what college we are selecting.
So as you mentioned, parents, they always want the top and the best colleges, no matter what they are costly or anything. So what's your suggestion when a parent is selecting, or the kids, they are selecting, students are selecting a particular college when it comes to their education? How would you guide them for that?
So for me, what matters is definitely, see, a name of the college or a reputation of college matters when it comes to the courses which are more towards post-graduation. Kind of, a diploma course from where I'm doing is more important. But when it comes to 11th and the 12th standard, ultimately, see, the child has just completed his 10th standard, barely a 14, 15-year-old child. And he's having a pressure to be amongst the top colleges, which is like, the percentage criteria would be 94% plus or 95% plus. If I don't keep that particular criteria, if I keep that aside and say, for example, I make a choice of a college which is nearby to my house, the advantage would be the traveling time would be hardly 15 to 20 minutes, in which, as you rightly said previously, that I can pursue any other hobby or any other course. I can start preparing for certain entrance exams post my grade 12 if I leave that dream of getting into a dream sort of a college. Once again, if, for example, if this dream college is not meant right now, I'm talking that students, who have made a mindset कि नहीं मुझे इतना percentage आया, I should be getting this college. And ultimately, if they don't get into it, I've seen so many people getting into a new trend of being depressed.
So how could the parent, they emotionally support their kid
Exactly.
when it's coming where they don't get their dream college?
So when it comes to me, many parents who have come to me as a counselor that, sir, can you please guide him now what next? Because his dream is broken and this is the first ever dream. My child was dreaming so and so college. School तक तो क्या था हमने select किया था. अब college इसको select करना है. तो he's not able to do it. I'm like, see, relax. It is just a 10 standard and grade 11 की college miss हुई है, right? But if, for example, if he still wants to get into that college, there is one more entry. In grade 13, like for example, if we does his FY, first year of BCom, first year of BMS, first year of BBA, once again he can get into that dream college.
Agree.
Let him start preparing from grade 11, 12 now onwards so that his dream is revived. And the parents have to support them. Okay, boy. If you missed this particular time, we have 2 more years to get into that college once again. So that's the way we can ease out that situation.
Yeah. Truly agree, because at times, kids, they have this, my friend is probably, enrolling in this college, even I want to be there. And at times, maybe in difference of the marks and all what they are getting, they might just not get that particular college and not getting the dream college which they want. They shouldn't go into, depression or anything as such.
So, see, the role of a parent here is really very important. How do they take that moment into? If the parent is like, देखा मैंने पहले ही बोला था, नहीं मेहनत किया तो ऐसे होगा. And rather changing the statement to, अरे don't worry, I am there with you, we'll work out 2 more years and we'll crack this college. I am with you, don't worry. If this statement comes from the parent, trust me, things change for that particular child then and there. So that is what is required for treating this Gen Z student. You have to be a Gen Z parent.
So when we talk about the space of trends and future of education, we see a lot of trends that are emerging in this space. So do they excite you? And what are they?
Definitely, yes. New trends in education have to be, encouraged, have to be implemented more per se. Definitely it excites. For example, gaming and education is something what is very collaborative and is going to be taking a pace. AI in education, simultaneously we are seeing many simulations which have happened. If you observe, there are certain lectures which are being very creative nowadays. For example, a history lecture, trust me, which was kind of very boring once upon a time just to listen to what happened in the history, what happened in the past, is now being showed with the help of visualizations or AI created models. If you want to see the destruction of World War which happened, they actually get into the AI modules and show you how this particular destructions happened, or maybe the episode of Czechoslovakia or the episode of the entire Second World War is being shown live. That is something very, very amazing.
Yeah. So how are the schools and colleges, making this more personalized touch for the generation?
In one of my previous associations in one school, I had personally experienced that, a child was, when he comes for an inquiry just to take an admission, to keep the child engaged and ensure that the parents are listening to the entire inquiry, he was given the entire AR module, augmented reality module. So when he enters into the school premises, he has to just sit down and see the entire school, through the VR headset. Now, this is kind of very, very amazing and a new thing which comes into it. And these kids of the new generation do definitely like it.
Yeah.
So that is where, where we have come to.
Yeah.
But as we rightly say, this has to be implemented on a very larger scale and not on a minute one.
So through this AI and this new technology that is coming in, do you think the kids are prepared for it, or will it take time to prepare them to adapt to this?
So if you honestly ask me, today's kids are much ahead than what generation, what we think about. They definitely come ahead and help their parents nowadays कि पापा ऐसा नहीं ऐसा करना है, मम्मी ऐसा नहीं ऐसा करना है. because they are kind of very tech savvy. Now, when it comes to understanding the technology adaptation for them, it is too easy, because what they have seen, what the peers are doing, what their teachers have been doing, what their parents have been doing is always on the phone. So it is a very natural instinct for them to be on the phone.
Yeah.
But as you asked me, I mean, are we prepared? So comparatively, the syllabus per se requires a lot of modifications, a lot of changes, lot of subjects related to the creative thinking, lot of subjects related to AI have to be introduced, so that they get not only on the theoretical aspects but also on the hands-on experiences during their school and the college days itself. That is what is lacking.
I agree. Like today's generation, like you say a 5-year-old kid also, they know to use the mobile interface more nicer way compared to us.
Absolutely, agree. Absolutely. So that is, I mean, that is just an impact of what they are being seeing continuously around them. And if they don't use it, even they feel they are left behind. Yeah. So that is kind of a competition. No wonder
we call them Google babies.
Absolutely, they are Google babies. Trust me.
Yeah. Okay, so when you are talking about trends and future of education, do you feel that we are still doing this future-proof?
Considering today's education system and considering what the syllabus is, what we are teaching, we have a long way to go. I mean, to be very honest and blunt, we are not future-proof.
Okay.
We are just adapting to what is happening currently with us. But that adaptation, once comes to the textbooks, it is already something new which has come, and the textbook is yet printed. So definitely we are around maybe 6-7 months behind what the world is going to see. So definitely there's a long way to go when we say that education systems are going to be future-proof. But yeah, there are a lot of work which is happening. And I cannot officially, announce what organizations right now I'm associated with. But there is a lot of work happening at the central level, at the educational level, at the ministerial level, which is ensuring, definitely there is going to be a future-proof and good amount of revolution going to happen in the education stream in India.
So everyone's talking about EdTech. So what do you feel? Apart just video lectures, what are we enhancing in this field?
So EdTech per se, there are many companies which have come, which have gone, they have sustained. And trust me, there are few who have actually helped students to revive and change the entire study and learning outcomes. So it is not just now only about a video lecture, because video lecture also has evolved over the stages. Initially, it was just a recording like the way we are doing it right now. Then it came to live lectures, wherein Zoom and any other platform started helping to the students. Then it was satellite recordings, wherein one student or one teacher at a particular place get connected to multiple places across. And then eventually it started with the augmented reality into the learning outcomes of online learning. So EdTech basically is a ever evolving kind of a venue or ever evolving venture, which definitely is going to ensure that there is a future of EdTech. It is basically blending of education and technology altogether. So even a regular or a normal school where you or me might have studied has to adapt to this EdTech kind of a platform.
So do you feel any EdTech tool or platform is still making a difference for the future?
Yes, definitely. There are many EdTech tools which I have seen personally helping the students, measuring their learning outcomes in a very, very brighter way. I'll give you one of the examples of my previous associations of one company. The company name is Education Initiatives. They have their very, very unique EdTech platform or a unique EdTech offering, which is called MindSpark.
Okay.
Now they started with math, then they took it to science, then they took it to another objects. Or another subjects rather, and eventually it helps the child's journey to a level 1 and a level 2. Now you say level 1 and 2 is what? For example, a grade 5 student is asked a question. Suppose maths is a subject. Grade 5 student is asked a grade 4 question. Definitely is going to be bingo on that. Then he is asked a grade 5 question where he belongs to. Suppose he answers that, then he's taken to another level of grade 6. If he is clearing that, he gets a brownie point. Suppose he gets cleared with all the 3, he's asked a very, very, kind of a gamification process. He's asked a very out of the box question. And suppose if he clears that, that means he knows the application of what he's learning. So that kind of platforms have already started enrolling, and most of the students have started using it also as well.
So now parents are still hesitant when it comes to, online learning. So what would you say them?
So you mean to say that the issue of screen time,
Screen time and online learning, because it becomes too much, you're continuously online.
See, how far you use it or to what extent you use it depends. Like if it is moderately used and it is monitored, then trust me, it has excellent outcomes. But definitely it is not that great to be on the screen throughout. I resonate with the parents, but looking at what the world is doing, looking at what India should be doing, we have to adapt to it. But how do we use it? It has to be moderate and under supervision. Trust me, things are going to be still a very far better way. Only thing is we need to invest into such a technology which is going to be given a good user interface to the child. Maybe we have to invest into certain technology which is not that harmful to that particular kid, and which will be definitely some other company today, as we are discussing live on the podcast, would be researching on how do we invest into this particular venture.
Yeah, completely agree. But now when you see with this online learning, when it comes to tech learning, you see there are some education institutes or colleges where kids are getting best of the tech facility, but then there are still school colleges, they're still struggling.
There is a wide disparity. I mean, definitely I agree to that differences are kind of very huge. But then, it is a role of, again, a three-party here. One is the community, the society. One is the government, definitely. And third is the educator. If the educators demand the right set of tool that, I want this for my child to understand it in a better way. If the infrastructure of the school supports it, and if the school has that particular capacity to invest on their own, or maybe through some government scheme they can apply and they can get it funded for them. And moreover, there are certain corporates, huge ones, who definitely are investing into education per se as one of the CSR activity. If they collaborate very closely with the schools, colleges, etc., then India is not that far to turn the traditional classroom into a very, very modern and a EdTech classroom per se.
Agree. So with the role of technology and AI, how can parents also become a better learning partner for their kids?
Very, very resonating question. What you have asked right now. Trust me, the role of a parent is not now seldomly just as a parent. He has to be acting as a friend, philosopher, guide as much as he can, as much as extent is possible. Now, for example, I have come across certain examples wherein a parent has come to me and told, "Ki, sir, till certain age, we were able to still see and look into my child's studies because that is what we had learned and we were able to teach him." But once his grade goes to somewhere very superlative, post grade 7, post grade 8, it becomes very difficult for us itself as a parent to understand what the child is studying actually, because this is probably was not taught to us. Now the difference is most of the parents watching this podcast would be a state board passed, and the children are going to the ICSE, CBSE, IGCSE, IB, different boards. Hardly the state board students are existing, but whatever. In that particular scenario, a parent can go to an extent of supporting the child in many other ways, if not the syllabus perspective. Like, for example, obviously, making them join a particular personal tuition or getting a best of the tutor associated is not a role of a parent. What I mean to say is, if there is some kind of a skill what a parent possesses in maybe any subject of his choice, can be literally imparted to the child by giving him hands-on experiences, by giving him learning outcomes, that this is what we had learned, why not try this way? While we were doing mathematics in our time, maybe we were, given marks on the steps. Why don't you focus on the steps rather than on the answer? If that kind of virtue or verdict comes from the parents' mouth, that, in my parents' time also, they were going step by step. Why I'm focusing only on the outcome and not on the steps?
So what do you suggest would be like the small habits, that would create an environment for the kid to learn?
See, some learning habits start at home. Like, if you ask me today also personally, maybe that habit was dwelled into my family, and thanks to parents for my parents rather to get involved into that kind of a habit. We always make a point that whatever the time, we all have dinner together, and in the entire dinner time what we discuss is what I have learned today. So when I was in school or college days, I used to say that teacher taught me this. Today when I go to my office, I say that my students taught me this. So any learning, my parents, like my father will say that today at my shop, this customer came and he taught me this. My mom will say that today I was at home as a housemaker, but then the housemaid who came in, she taught me this. So everyone on the table is sharing some kind of learning outcomes. And if that habit actually gets percolated to each house, trust me, the talking happens and the family bond becomes stronger day by day.
Agreed.
That is what is required.
So do you feel today children are under too much pressure in terms of education, emotionally also?
Needless. I mean, this is some topic which I think many of the educators or many of the
Are
teachers
discussing about
surpass.
this, yeah.
But I would want to discuss this in length. I mean, it is somewhere what we as educators have definitely failed, wherein the expectation from each child, what we keep is very uniform. Because we teach uniformly to all the students.
Yeah. For you, like all kids are
all the
similar.
students are same. But then the outcome from each student cannot be same. They are heterogeneous. Similarly, every parent has to understand this aspect that my child is a different child as compared to another one whom I'm comparing with. Unless and until this comparison as an aspect goes out of our minds, trust me, this emotional damage what we do to this very young kids of 13, 14 years, and then we repent upon in certain part of the life, is something which is a criminal act in mind what we're doing.
So what do you suggest? Like, how can parents balance this? How can they understand their struggle?
Point number 1, stop comparing. Point number 2, start talking. Point number 3, treat your child as your pride. He has achieved something till date. Talk only about his achievements.
Yeah.
If you just criticize him on his failures, he is going to take that learnings forever. So that point number 3 is the most important point when I say that please talk to him about what achievements he has done till date and motivate him that he can achieve so much further. Not always the stories that when I was in my days, I used to do these things. That things do not work in today's life. Talk to your child as a friend rather than as a parent.
Talk more about their positives rather than negatives. Yeah.
So talk to them as a friend, because being a parent was a century-old phenomena. Now the generation wants you to be their friend, be a friend, and trust me, things will turn.
Yeah, it's just like, rather complaining more, try to understand.
Understand more, motivate them more.
So according to you, what are the top 3 skills that you should develop in a child beyond the academic?
Beyond academics, definitely, if I was given that particular opportunity to frame it out, I would say creativity, number 1, should be there, imparted in everyone. I mean, the creativity can be anything. Some child can be creative in music. Someone may be into some other hobby. Someone may be very creative while playing cricket. Someone might be very creative talking. Get him into so many other fields which are related to talking. So creativity, number 1. Number 2, and the most important one, is teach them the quality of emotional intelligence. Rather than focusing only on AI, talk to them about EI. How well they can balance their emotions at certain point of time and at a particular age. That is very important. You asked me about the top 3. The third one, which I say after creativity and emotional intelligence, would be keeping yourself calm and balanced all the particular period of time. Because today's generation is rather than not being active but being very reactive.
Yeah.
So when it comes to understanding not being so reactive, is let them understand what the situation is. Then react or act according to the circumstances. Today we want everything very instant.
Yeah.
And trust me, we as a parent or we as an educator also are failing at certain particular time. We give a project work today in the school and we expect that it's to be done tomorrow. So that is what we are making them very impulsive. Parents.
Yeah.
If a child asks you today, I want to eat something, you immediately order a 10-minute, a delivery boy comes, you give them everything instantly.
Yeah.
If this is a little delayed. Give them. But give them a little delayed. Let them understand the importance of the thing what they're going to get. Me and you, probably, while we were into our earlier, there was no instant things. And because of this very, very instant kind of a trendy things which are coming into it, these are just creating impulsiveness among the children. So top 3 skills.
All long formats have been shortened.
Everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
Everything is quick. Yeah.
Grocery, food, everything comes like, very instant to you. It should not be the case when it comes to understanding the child who is of a 14 or a 15-year-old. He has to understand the value of money at the right time.
Rather than getting any deep knowledge, they want everything quick, fast.
Correct.
Yeah. They just know the overview, but they don't know the depth of it.
Yeah. How do we get it? I mean, explain them the process. For example, if you are asking some, say, a mobile phone from your parent, kind of very, very trendy, I will pass my grade 10 with so many colors, and my father has promised me the latest model of a smartphone.
Yeah.
But how will your father earn that money? Explain them that process. Okay. Let them feel into it, and then give them the phone. The phone will be, trust me, more valued as compared to just a gift given to them.
Because they'll understand how it's earned.
Absolutely.
So how do you feel like, schools or education sector can promote empathy, resilience and teamwork to students through this?
So definitely, see, nowadays modern age schools do it. I have experienced it firsthand. But most of the schools and institutions, if they want to get into it, they have to involve a team-based activity, project-based learning, wherein students will come together. Maybe they will be from different educational backgrounds, or maybe they will be from different household backgrounds, but then they will share their ideas together. And there comes a very important aspect, as you rightly said, the empathy, the resilience and everything, which will be taught to them. Unless, if we don't bring them together, this thing would be, not possible to be worked out.
So when you mentioned, like the child should be taught, how the parent has earned this particular mobile phone. So how can you teach kids the financial aspect of it?
So definitely, see, maybe at a very, very young age, we have to involve certain subjects which talks about financial literacy, which is definitely a need of an hour. Because we cannot be throughout the life spendthrifts. Today's generation definitely knows how to spend well on the best of the possible things, but don't know how do we earn well from all the possible means. So financial literacy maybe at a very young age can be taught, in a very simple calculation-based examples. When they grow a little further up, they can be taught budgeting, they can be taught how the incomes and expenses are to be managed. When they go to their grade 11, 12, they can be taught capital budgeting, they can be taught any subject, but throughout their entire curriculum, whether from whatever stream they belong to, they have to be taught financial literacy, which is need of an hour. Because if they are taught well, they teach their parents well, they teach the upcoming generation well.
So you have taught economics, but what if the child is not from this particular genre, maybe a commerce student? How do you inculcate and teach them this?
So 2 decades teaching economics, but then I have come across certain times or places wherein I found the child absolutely has zero knowledge about being from the commerce field only. I have students from science stream also who all of a sudden from nowhere post 12th standard decide I want to get into commerce. I don't want to continue the science stream. They switch their stream, and in fact they take CA as a career, which is the epitome of commerce as a course. Now for them in the CA examinations, economics is a mandate when it comes to the foundation or the entrance examination. Now during that time, I ensure that they are also part of my lecture. Like the commerce students are. Now to get them involved or keep the entire lecture active, one strategy what I've been using, throughout the days is like I have converted all the definitions per se in terms of Bollywood songs.
Is it?
So what we do is we ensure that all these particular definitions are, just enjoyed while learning. And I today also, maybe after 20 years, I randomly get a message from an 8-year-old student that, sir, I am missing that song, demand is defined as. So that is where as a teacher, you feel that you have made a little bit of difference.
Yeah.
So trust me, if as an educator, you are remembered after ages, your work is done.
So do you feel this really helps in terms of learning and maybe making their learning in a more easier manner.
Absolutely. That is where, a teacher or educator, actual role comes into how well he is imparting that knowledge. Because everyone, what I've read somewhere is everyone cannot be a teacher because he is not a good orator.
Yeah.
So I believe a teacher possesses lot of skills, being an orator, being a presenter, being an actor, being a mimic, because he has to play a lot of roles on that particular stage to keep that classroom alive. And till the entire lecture gets over, he has to ensure that everyone amongst his student community is completely engaged and grasping every possible thing what that particular child wants to understand. And that is the only satisfaction a teacher, when he walks out very stiff hearted, outside the classroom, that is what is giving him the sense of that confidence to enter into the next class immediately. So if that smile on the child is throughout in your lecture, you've done it for them.
Yeah. So apart definitions, when you say you use a Bollywood theme, what are the other techniques you use?
So we ensure that, certain long format answers are given, shortcuts, certain short codes, which are easy to remember. Maybe head points are to be remembered, and the elaborations are given like easy ways. Or maybe certain times, there are certain concepts which we break down ke iske baad ye format, iske baad ye format, iske baad ye format, and we ensure that this is not only just remembered. We don't believe that it should be ratified, because it ultimately then leads to rote learning.
Yeah.
So what we believe is, rather than getting it repetitive, we ensure that the child seldomly, we just started and the child seldomly ends it. So involvement happens, learning happens, the smile on the face of a student, and that's it.
So learning with fun. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now let's chat about the education policies that have come in. So are there any new changes, or even if you wanted to change one particular education policy, what would it be?
If given a chance, why not? But definitely I'll add on. I'll not change. I'll add on certain things, because a lot of educationists and a lot of good designatories have put up their brains out there to frame the policy what India needs. I would want to add something to it, and that would be definitely a experimental based learning. I would want complete experiences to be passed on in every possible lecture, whether it is a math lecture, whether it is an economics lecture, whether it's a chemistry lecture, whether it's a bio lecture. If you give them some hands-on experience, relate that concept to why are we studying this. The only difference is why certain teachers today are loved by their student community is that they are always going to focus on the why part of it, how part of it, and not the way it is. So if you give them the logic behind why are you studying this and how you should study this, trust me, it will make a difference. And exactly if that is involved into the policy of education, that please explain them the why and how after this concept. Trust me, you make the entire classroom lively for everyone.
So do you feel that the new education policy right now, are we heading it into the correct decision for the future?
Yes, it is stated that we are heading towards it. The only hitch, or the only glitch, rather, if you ask me what is happening, is only doubt is how it will be executed. Because the policy laid down perfectly fine, the framework absolutely awesome. Execution is somewhere where the educator, the school or the institution has to ensure that they are executing the way it is being implemented.
So let's talk about your personal reflection. So as a student or as a teacher, is there something that has impacted in your career?
Many moments. Every day kind of some moments which definitely come as a flashback memory. I'll share one. One of my student maybe might have taught 12 years earlier. All of a sudden, from nowhere, got connected with me on Instagram and said that, sir, would like to meet you. And we finalized the timings. We met at a cafe. And during that particular time, he's like, sir, I'm now executive director at one of the big fours.
Wow.
Now, when it comes to understanding such moments, I'm like, okay, that's great. Congratulations. And the next statement is like, thank you, sir, for teaching me and making me able to do this. That's what you earn as a teacher. That are personal reflections which make you more, humble, which make you more connected, and which make which ensures you get to go, going further in your life and motivate further lives also.
And is there any turning point in your life also that has impacted you?
Definitely yes. I mean, while I was just an educator, I used to like, मुझे ये चाहिए, ये teaching tool चाहिए, ये लेके आओ, वो लेके आओ. But when it comes to understanding, when I played the role of a management along with being a teacher, so there was like, okay, I now understand the backside of the story, that how the entire show is run, how the entire coaching classes per se are run, or how the entire school is managed. There are lot many people behind the entire synergy, which cannot be expressed just right now in few words. This entire organization hierarchy which has to go work in together for that 1 hour of a successful lecture of that particular teacher. So the turning point is like, when I changed myself from just being a teacher to a manager and a teacher. So I'm blessed to see both these roles of being inside the classroom as well as being outside the classroom, and just try to change and impact certain lives of students.
You're teaching CA and CS students. So how it is different from the 11th and 12th grade that you teach?
It is a real kind of challenge. I mean, when it comes to the teaching of CS students, you have to be more cautious about what kind of experience you're talking about, how well it is going to be implemented. There in the CA and CS, we talk about more of why and how. Where it comes to the 11th and 12th, unfortunately, since it is a result-based story, we have to teach them only what is mentioned in the textbooks. So biggest difference is like a CA and a CS student appears for a competitive exam for the first time nationally. And 11th and 12th standard is basically a state level examination. So when you want to train that state level child to a national level champion, we have to ensure that the learning outcomes also are that way different and that way impactful. So that's the basic difference, teaching a professional student and teaching a regular grade 11, 12 student.
Okay. But post-pandemic now, we have a lot of online learning that is coming. So have times changed? Is it more tough right now when it comes to online learning?
Post-pandemic, I would rather put it as pandemic gave a lot of lessons. Okay, they were, none of us rather, probably that word Zoom came to us for the first time. We were having Google Meet inside our phone but never used up. Okay, there were certain times Microsoft Teams popped up. Now all these tools which I'm naming, I know the in and out about these tools. But since when? It is only since 2020. Okay. The reason being, if I was not used to that kind of tools, I would have never been able to survive. I mean, there were certain teachers who were tech savvy and I would have left behind. So for me as an educator to be streamlined and to be in the trend, I had to ensure that I learn these tools, not only learn, but use that tools effectively so that my learning and my entire teaching gets impacted to the child.
So do you feel it's effective learning like this?
Absolutely it is. I mean, but again, when I say it has to be used in a moderate terms. If we completely shift to online, then trust me that touch what is required in a personal form doesn't come well. Okay, like for example, when you are teaching online, you don't even know who is listening to your lecture most of the times, right? Because on the screen, you hardly have 20-25 names which are popping up, but actually the lectures are being heard by hundreds. But when you're in the classroom, say for example, for 30-40 students, when you say, Rahul, listen to this very carefully, or maybe Divya, listen to this very carefully. So they are very much connected and they are ensuring that I have to pay attention. Sir knows me by my name. So that is the personal touch which is lacking when it comes to the online education. But definitely there are many other aspects and advantages of both this particular pursuits. As I told you previously, this has to be moderately balanced. We cannot just say no to online and we cannot completely say only offline. So it is a blend of both nowadays.
So lastly, I would like you to give some personal message to parents, kids and educators. Let's go one by one. Parents.
Okay. So for parents, my message would be to the parents, be a friend to your child rather than being a parent. Be a guide to them, be a mentor to them. But if you become a friend to them and allow them to share their experiences day in, day out, trust me, you're going to see a different child who is learning with the Alpha Z generations. So trust me, if you be a friend to them, they're going to be very transparent with you. And as a parent, you will also like this journey when a child becomes very transparent and shares every possible thing, and that is a need for an hour, that a child should not be in isolation. You should know everything about your child. What has he gone through in the school? What are his friends talking about him? What was he doing in the cricket coaching today? What was he doing in the dance coaching today? If he comes and shares everything to you, you as a parent have really won in your life.
Agree. So now kids or students?
So a message to the students or the kids would be, students, once again, education or learning is just a journey. It is not a destination. So keep learning, keep growing. Every day is a new learning game for you. There are many real life experiences which are pending. So if something goes wrong in one or the other exam, that's okay. That's a part of life. That's a part of student life. But trust me, every failure will be a learning for you. Every learning would be involving a new step of progress to you. So my best wishes to the entire student community, let's rock together.
And last, to the educators?
Yeah, to my colleagues, the educators, my fellow mates, let's make this world a better place, because definitely we play a very, very important role ensuring that the next generation, what we are going to develop in the classrooms, they are the ones who are going to be future leaders. They are the ones who are going to be future corporates. They are the ones who are going to be future whatnot. So if we want our future to be less complainful and most enjoyable, time, what we want to spend in the rest of life, we have to ensure we do some magic in the classroom, and it all lies with us today.
Thank you so much, Kavish sir, for coming. There was so much of learning for everyone, for kids, parents, educators, everyone. Like everything one would know when it comes to education. There was there were too many experiences that you shared with everyone.
So once again, thank you so much for having me here. And I'm really grateful for, this podcast, which meant a lot at the right particular time. So once again, thank you to you and the entire team of Imperia Connects, which ensured that this very live topic of why education and what role the parents and the students have to be played in the real life comes at the right time. So you guys are doing a really wonderful job. And thank you so much once again.
To all our listeners, learning begins at home. Let's keep nurturing, supporting, and growing with our children every step of the way. Because when families learn together, they grow stronger together. Small conversations today can spark lifelong values tomorrow. Let's keep those conversations going. This is Imperia Connects, where every conversation brings us closer to stronger, happier families. See you next time.